above.
There are times that I may slip up, won't always get it right. Guarantee I'll be on top when it's game, set, life. Get up and show up, don't ever lose your fight. You watching me from the couch, at least I say I tried. A long time ago, someone said this stuck with me. Passion without action will only remain a dream. Keep positive, motivated people on your team, cause other negativity can kill your self-esteem. Believing is powerful, but sadly so is doubt. So you can choose which way you wanna go, which route. The mind that controls the body can beat anybody, and gotta be all in, don't treat your dreams like a hobby. And if you practice on your day off, won't have an off day. Talent alone won't get you there, still got a long way. Gotta take big risks and big steps to strive. Wanna be the winner when it's game, set, live. Whoa.
Whoa is right. I am blessed to be here every week with the legendary, the Hall of Famer himself, Rick Macci, who I keep seeing everywhere, especially with the Grand Slam tennis going on and his expertise and knowledge and insight. Welcome to Game Set Life, my partner in time, Rick Macci.
David, glad to be here. I jumped off the court. It's going to be a lot of fun today.
Oh, yeah. We have an exceptional guest. He's not only one of my favorite players on the court, as you say, but off the court and on TV. She's doing it all in the most important position, being a mom. But before we get to our mom in our mom nation, which is a big part of your sport, let's talk about the Grand Slam and what's going on in tennis. Give me a little update. I know you've been on the national circuit informing and giving some insight. What do you see in today's tennis world that we should be excited about?
Well, obviously, Novak Djokovic, 23 Grand Slams. He now has the record. You know, it's unbelievable. The guy, 10 Australian, 7 Wimbledons, 3 U.S. Open, and now 3 French. He's won 94 singles titles. He was number 1 in the world for 388 weeks. He's 36 years old. Okay. He is the GOAT. Okay. And you know, goats, they like to climb a lot of mountains. And this goat from Serbia is going to Mount Rushmore. So he is the GOAT. But listen, he's still feeling good. And what's crazy, David, we got Wimbledon around the corner, and he's won the last 4 in a row. 18 and 19, 20. They didn't have it because of the pandemic. 21 and 2. He loves the grass. And after this, all this hoopla, he broke the record. His first thing was, I can't wait for Wimbledon. This guy's wired different. He takes negative, turn it to positive. Pressure, adversity, disappointment is his best friend. He's a whole different cat. But there's still a lot left in the tank for the Joker. But there's some young guns on grass that are definitely going to challenge him.
That's awesome. And, you know, there is a difference between men and women as we age. And women, as I have seen, have an advantage in the aging process that a lot of women can hang on longer, partly because of the biochemistry that exists when you're a woman comparatively to a man, which a lot of time is based off of testosterone and ATP and things that automatically dissipate, sometimes even dissolve as we get older. What have you seen to be the differences with the longevity of men champions versus, obviously, nobody in the world knows better, women champions?
Yeah, first off, great question. There's 2 real big factors, in my opinion. One, it's the motivation. You know, Andy Roddick retired early because if he wasn't going to be in top 10 and he wasn't a threat, he didn't want to start losing the hamburgers and cheeseburgers. You know what I mean? He just didn't want to go there. It wasn't even about the money. So I think the motivation is number 1. Then obviously number 2 is the physicality. Can your body hold up? You know what I mean? And they kind of sometimes can go hand in hand, you know, because as you get older, you have different priorities. You know, maybe want to get married, you want to have children. You know, everybody's a little bit different. But to see how long Djokovic, he's 36, he's still at the mountaintop. It's unbelievable. And David, he didn't win his first slam till 2008. So he's won 23 of these things in the last 15 years, where when he won his first, Federer already had 16 in the back pocket. So that's a whole different thing. But then you got Venus and Serena, and the great VW is going to play a grass court tournament next week, and she's 42 years old. I don't think she'll win it, but with that serve and that attitude, you're going to have to still beat her.
Yeah, she can still beat anyone on any given day, let alone Sunday, in the sport that I love as well. It's really interesting. How long do you think he can go? I mean, you know the sport, and there are some young guns. How many more Grand Slams do you think he has in him? Is he going to be able to play till he's 40, or are we looking at 1 or 2 years max?
Well, first off, if it wasn't for the pandemic, because he never got vaccinated, I tell everybody he has all the shots, but if he'd got one more shot, he would have been probably with 27 Grand Slams by now. So listen, I think that he's a contender every time. It depends on his health. He's all about history. What happens next is a mystery, but he's all about history now. And that's what these guys do when he loves the competition. He's not going anywhere. But Alcaraz, Sinner, Rune, these young guys, even Medvedev, all these guys have a say-so. But the Joker's not going anywhere. I think he can get 3 or 4 more. Okay, I really think that he has a lot left in him because he's just so solid mentally. David, he struggled against Casper Ruud in that first set, who, by the way, I coached Casper's dad, Christian, back in the day. He was Norway's finest until his son came along, which I'm sure the dad, he'll go with that. But he struggled, mentally. He played Alcaraz, which was the match of the year. He had to come back. He was a favorite. Casper's never taken a set. But once Joker got the first set, number 23 was in the oven, and the rest is history.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I've been blessed. One of my fans is Djokovic's wife, believe it or not. And we spent some time in Portugal together, and wasn't even aware of who she was married to at the time until later on. She had mentioned, "Oh, my husband, enjoys your videos," which I thought was fun. So maybe I could take a small piece of the credit for motivating him. What do you think?
Well, no, listen, he's all about flipping things. I mean, David, when you're at that level, sports, business, anything, you look at the world through a different lens, and this guy looks at it through a very different lens. What keeps him going? You know what I mean? I mean, he's amazing. He really is. And like I said, I think there's 3 or 4 more in the oven.
One of the interesting philosophies in tennis, and you brought this to the forefront a couple of weeks ago. You said, tennis is such a great sport because you can lose more games than you win, but yet still be the champion. And I never thought, not being a tennis pro myself, or, my wife who wants to be a tennis pro, I never really thought of it that way. But I think entrepreneurship's the same way. You can lose most of the games and still be the champion when it comes to business. And so resetting is such a great tool or mechanism to reset after you take a kick in the face or a loss in a game. What are some of the best things that you coach for people to reset after maybe, losing a bad game?
Yeah. Well, first off, I always say this, having the ability to forget, you got to remember to forget. To me, that's the leader in the clubhouse. That's the leader in the clubhouse. And if I could go back a little bit about Djokovic, think about this. He accidentally hit the ball boy at the U.S. Open and got disqualified in the quarters. He could have won that slam. He got kicked out of Australia because, he wasn't vaccinated. He didn't get to play a lot of things. And look how he's dealt with all this. He's taken that approach, that Muhammad Ali, me against the world, and made it his best friend. And that's what these guys do at the top. But that's what I try to teach all the kids. I gave a speech today. This is all about, I talked about the Joker. It's all about attitude and work ethic. Forget the forehand and backhand and the biomechanics. I can put Humpty Dumpty together and so can the staff. But if you just try to outwork everybody and you have a great attitude, no matter where you end up, going to college for free or you have a shot at the pros, you're going to be successful. Because how you deal with adversity and how you deal with problems, this Djokovic guy, he's on another planet.
Well, speaking about being on another planet, this is one of my favorite people on earth. She's the triple threat. She is absolutely gorgeous, fabulous. She's an amazing athlete, an incredible, intelligent woman who's leading the way for the most important job in the world. My hero, my mentor is my mom. and she's leading the Mommy Nation. I know that you're going to give her an appropriate introduction, but all my love, this is going to be Beauty and the Beast when we get this girl up here with us, the two Buckeyes. But let's bring on my dear friend Sanya Richards Ross.
Hi guys.
Hey,
Hi,
Sanya.
Thank you. You're always so kind. Hi Rick, how are you?
Good. I'm glad you're on the show.
Okay, well, we have super treats on this show. This isn't quite like the Housewives. We're the antithesis of the Housewives because we're the toptimists of all toptimists, Rick and I. We only look for the light, the love, and the lessons in everyone. There's no drama here, Mama. I will just tell you that. But we have the best intros in the world called the Common Thread intro, and Rick Macci made these up. I want to put him to music and make him a rap star, but tell me what you think because you're around a lot of talent. Tell me if this kid, Rick Macci, can bang it out here. Go ahead, Rick. It's all up to you.
Well, David, first off, I'm not even going to get into that right away. First off, we have so many common threads. When I knew Sanya was on the show, this has more common threads than the My Pillow guy. The thread count is off the chart. So I want to get that out of the way. And before I get into the intro, think about this. Richard Allen Macci, Richard Williams, Sanya Richards Ross, and David Meltzer, who's rich. Okay, so we got a lot of rich going on here. Now that we got all that out of the way, showtime. Here we go. Number one, Jamaican breed, bullet speed, always in the lead, Longhorn stampede, competitors plead. Serena, Compton speed, opponents bleed, dead like a weed, feet better than Apollo Creed. All right. David travels at supersonic speed, does good deed, plants a seed, golf swing like Sam Snead. Number two, a blur on the track, opponents see back, Sanya attack, gold medal stack. Venus and Serena, other side of the track, mentally never crack, love to whack, nice gold medal pack. DM, always on track, handles flack, made a lot of jack, lessons told, Meltzer's nuggets, solid gold. Number three, the Kingston Comet had the final say with the relay all day, faster than a Chevrolet. Okay, the Compton Comet with her play, opponents at bay. Number one, she stay on Mount Rushmore today. Akron's finest travels like a comet, eats right, never vomit, getting stronger, okay? Never weaker. He is a world-class speaker. Number four, Mommy Nation on the show, uplifting women head to toe. SRR, changing the planet. And by the way, your abs are like granite, all right? Serena, a mommy with one in the oven, full of loving, inspired everybody on earth. 5 months will give birth. And the final one, David takes care of his mom because she got him a date to the prom. Time for game, set, life with Atlanta's favorite housewife. Welcome to the show.
What? That was incredible. That was amazing. I love that. Thank you.
Well,
no problem. But there's an agenda with your husband's speed and your speed. I want to know about your 6-year-old.
Oh no, you froze for me.
He has a motor like you and your husband. But we'll get into that. We'll get into that later.
Okay.
Well, I want to talk about, to start, obviously you launched the Mommy Nation in 19, and really to help empower Black moms particularly as well. But I want to know about your mom. I can't talk about my mom without crying. Yeah. And she's 80 years old now. And I live the most blessed existence. I mean, look behind me. I got 60,000 seats in my waiting room. And I think about that poor kid in Akron, Ohio, that literally, probably wanted to quit more times than I wanted to try. And there was my mom saying, we don't quit. This is what it's about. And when it, great starts with hard, amazing starts with impossible. And that's where we're at right now. So what was your mom like? Because you are an amazing mom and it means so much to you to empower moms.
Yeah. Much like you, David, my mom was everything. I always say that I feel like she was that perfect balance with my dad. My dad was the one really pushing me, and my mom was always that soft shoulder for me to lean on and cry on, who she wanted me to be great, but she also always reminded me that this was a sport. It was a passion or something I loved. It didn't define me. And that she was always there for me, win, lose, or draw. And so, the kind of love that she showed my sister and I, it's just, especially now that I am a mom, it just blows my mind, the level of commitment and sacrifices that she made for me to live my dream. She's just one of the most unselfish, beautiful on the inside and on the outside human beings that I know. And like you, the reason that we are able to achieve greatness is because we stand on their shoulders. And so I just feel really blessed to have her as my mom too.
First off, David, I love that. That's kind of like Richard and Orsine. Richard was driving, but Orsine treated him like little girls. So there was balance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so what you just said is like, you got to have balance. You can't have both parents just grinding 100% because that's a slippery slope.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, I'm going to go back to the Olympic side of stuff and, running the 4x4 relay and the 400 meters by yourself in 2012 and winning the gold. The Olympics really intrigued me. And I'm friends with Apollo Ono. And I love the speed skating sport because, I was joking with him that, you can literally win by this profile. So this is like a huge advantage in speed skating. But, in the 400 even, it's run so fast, a little bit longer nose, maybe the difference between gold and silver, but it takes 4 years. And you did it in 4, you did it in 2008, 2012. I know pressure. I've been around it in all sports, but there's no pressure like training for 4 years to the highest level on the world stage to have to perform one time to make it happen. We were talking about in tennis, you can lose more games and still win the Wimbledon, right? So what is that like to have that much pressure that you only have one chance to be your best?
Whew. I think that you painted the picture so well, David. It is daunting. It is overwhelmingly challenging to know that all of this work that you're putting in behind the scenes, it's a full-time job, 5 to 6 days a week, you're working towards this goal and just have this one dream of having that moment, when the starter says go on that day in front of the fans in the stands and then on television, that you're going to be at your best. And, for me, I've experienced both, right, David? In 2008, I now can say I won the bronze. It took me a long time to be able to say that because I felt like I lost the gold. And, the moment I crossed the finish line, David, I was like, I have to wait 4 years to have this opportunity again. It's instant and it's debilitating, it's crushing. But then on the flip side of that, when you get that experience of crossing that finish line first, you feel like you ran into your fairy tale ending, and all of the hard work and all of the sacrifice and all of those things, really paid off, and they were worth it. But I think one of the things that has become very prominent is that in order to be at your best under those situations, you really have to be mentally sharp, mentally tough, and having a sports psychologist or someone like that to help to fine tune that is very valuable. And in 2012, I had that, and I was able to combine my physical strength and prowess with my mental, preparedness to be able to be Olympic champion. But I tell you, it is not easy. It's not easy.
First off, I love that. Let me back the truck up a little bit from Jamaica, and then you move to Fort Lauderdale, St. Thomas Aquinas, right down the road from me in Boca. Can you kind of tell everybody, the move, and you're going there, then on to the University of Texas?
Yes. So, my family were from Kingston, Jamaica, and I just have the fondest memories of growing up in Jamaica with my mom and dad. And, I always say I kind of got the best of both worlds because being exposed to track and field at such a high level where everyone in the country just loves the sport so much, it really inspired me to want to be an Olympic champion. And then my mom and dad, who my mom is the youngest of 6, all of her siblings had migrated to the States, and they kept telling her, you got to get the girls over here if you want them to go to a great university and to have great opportunities. And so, my parents made the move for us to come to the United States to be able to pursue our dreams. And so, of course, at that time, they weren't 100% sure it would be track and field, but we all certainly hoped that I would be able to continue to, to excel in the sport. And so we moved to South Florida. I went to St. Thomas Aquinas. We won 4 state titles in track and field there. I got a full scholarship to UT and made my first Olympic team as a sophomore. So, all of those decisions that they made for me along my journey, prepared me and allowed me to go on to do what I did. But, like I say, I really feel blessed to have been born in Jamaica, to have the exposure of track and field, see so many greats, and then go on to live that dream.
David, real quick, how important was the academics with your parents? Because you 4.0 GPA, and I think it's important because obviously I got a lot of student athletes and a lot of kids go to school, college for free. How important was that? Because that was a big thing with Richard and Orsine Williams with Venus and Serena.
Yeah, same thing with my dad. It was number one priority. My dad always said, if you can be the best on the track, you can be the best in the classroom. There's no reason that you can't get all A's and be the best. And so it was a non-negotiable. I had to be great in the classroom to be able to go on the track and compete. And I really did like competing in the classroom. I think the way my dad always phrased it made me feel like, why not? If somebody else can do it, why can't I do it? And so, our schoolwork and our education was always priority. And I maintained a 4.0 GPA in high school and a 3.5 in college. And I think it's what, it's so important to make us well-rounded. Like my dad always said, you don't want to be one-dimensional. You want to be able to do a lot of great things, and to set that foundation, you got to do well in school.
That's very similar to what my mom told me. It was, you better be the best in your class and don't get hurt on the field. So
I like that.
She was not worried about me being the best on the field, but doing my best. She always wanted me to do my best, which was great. Now you've been in the media for a while and starting as a sports analyst, which I have a fair amount of experience myself, and I really enjoy it because it is collaborative and it is positive, and people really respect the experience and knowledge that you have. Me in sports business, for example, you two in the analysis of the position sports that you're involved with, but now you're in a whole different side of things. And I know when I moved from the sports business analyst side of things or marketing analyst into more of a media spot with followers and community, but you're really out there. We live in Orange County, and we were blessed to be offered, to try out for some of the well-known shows in the world. And my wife and I were like, no, thank you. We appreciate it. But we didn't really want that type of exposure, especially because my wife will say anything. But I don't know how you handle it, Sanya. That is the most dramatic show in the world. It's so dramatic that I can't go to sleep if I watch it, and I have to have my wife record. She records the parts that you're on because I'm your super fan. I really am, and I get defensive if anyone's mean to you. But I can't watch the whole show. But how do you deal with all that drama? And it's a different type of media than the one that you're normally used to.
Yeah, I think that honestly, being an athlete prepared me a lot for what comes with being in this kind of spotlight. I think I've learned how to quiet the noise and just focus on the opportunity. And I see the Real Housewives of Atlanta as a phenomenal opportunity, to continue to grow my brand. There is no blueprint, David, after you win an Olympic gold medal. What do you do next? Most athletes, you dedicate your whole life to this sport, and by 30, you're retired. And outside of the obvious coaching or, thank God I get to do the broadcasting, it's not as easy to figure out your next, what the next thing is. So I feel very blessed to have made this transition and still be doing stuff with NBC, to work with Nike, and to be on this platform. And, I just think, the drama kind of comes with it, and I'm learning how to navigate that drama and just kind of having fun as I go, and just hoping to be a positive light in the space. So, I take the good with the bad, but it's overall been a really good experience. And I, continue to hope to grow as a TV personality on this platform.
You can always just knock somebody out if you ever want to get off the show.
Exactly.
You'll get like millions and millions of followers, everybody ganging up behind you. Good for you. Somebody finally hit her across the face. Anyway, I'm not a proposal. Go ahead, Rick.
No, first off, I love that. I mean, sports prepared her for what was next: failure, disappointment, commitment, desire, dedication, noise, all this stuff. But she was sharp enough to be able to use that in the next phase of your life. Okay. Yeah. And that's why sports is huge, especially track and field. It's kind of you against you, so I love that answer.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, Rick.
That's amazing. Now, the Mommy Nation, there's a lot, I think, perception. It's interesting. I would say the number one thing that resonates with people is when I talk about my mom and the lessons and the love that I have from and for her. And I always say, I'll never starve for one reason. They're not going to put me on the Housewives, but I'll never starve because I could just start a coaching group with people with mommy issues. And that's about everybody on earth. But, for you, it's really at the forefront of your purpose. And our country, the world can change if we support and encourage our moms to lead the way. I wish we would have a mom as a president. I know it would be the best president we've ever had on earth. And every time I see a wonderful mom running for president, that's always, no matter what party, that's my primary choice because I know the higher level, I'm just, blown away. Where do you see the biggest issues today, especially for Black moms? What you blog, you're in there. What are some of the issues that we need to be aware of, especially the middle-aged white male, that we can support all moms, but particularly women of color?
Yeah, David, thank you so much for asking that, because I think it's such an important topic. And I'm just so grateful to be able to be an ambassador for it. But there are, lots of ways that we can support Black moms. One of the things that's at the forefront of Mommy Nation's intentions this year is really trying to reduce the Black maternal mortality rate. And so Black women are 4 times more likely to die during childbirth than white women for many reasons. And so we really just want to call on everybody to do their part in helping to support Black women, because, it should be the most joyous time of a woman's life and of a family's life experience. And for a lot of Black women, it's not. And so this year, our mission for Mommy Nation Gives, because we have a nonprofit portion of our business, is to really raise money to be able to contribute to reducing that number, especially in America, where we have so many resources and so much knowledge on how to deliver children safely, to ensure that Black women are having that experience. And then also there's also, disproportionately more single moms, more homeless moms in the Black community. And so we just really want to provide resources for them so that they don't feel like they're alone, because, I know how challenging it can be to be a mom, a Black mom in America. And I have a lot of support and I have a ton of resources. So I can only imagine how hard it is and how lonely it must feel for women who are, homeless or have, are single mothers and really struggling, trying to provide for their kids what we all want, a better life and, and great opportunities. So if you check out mommynation.com, we have lots of ways that you can support us. But ultimately this year, we're really focused on the Black maternal mortality rate and doing our part to increase the, positive results of Black moms who are having babies.
Amazing. Rick, you got a question?
Yeah, no, I'll kind of land the plane here, but I told everybody Sanya was going to be on the show today, 100 parents and kids, and they all know you're a world-class athlete. But after this, everybody's going to know you're a world-class person, especially on the inside. So that was awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yes, she is. I'm going to squeeze in one more question, only because I promised my daughter, Marissa, who's my oldest daughter, and she wanted to know, what's the biggest lesson that you've learned from being an entrepreneur that you wish you would have known as an athlete?
Ooh, what's the biggest lesson from being an entrepreneur? That's a great one.
Now you know why I'm so smart. I got all these questions from these kids for the last 24 years.
Yes, and you know what? She's so smart because people always ask me the other way.
Yeah,
like, what's the learned as an athlete that I've brought over to being an entrepreneur? I guess the first thing that kind of popped into my mind, and it's not necessarily so much a lesson, it's just a constant reminder, is that you got to put in the work, right? Like I feel like a lot of times people feel like because you put in your 10,000 hours in something else and you've excelled in something else, it's just going to automatically parlay into this next thing that you do. And it's not true. You know, I've learned that with my business, I've got to be as diligent as I was as an athlete. I got to learn. I got to be willing to, you know, roll up my sleeves and get to work, because no one's going to just give me a gold medal because I've won one on the track. And so, you know, I obviously know that that's not a lesson I learned from sports that I wish I'd learned in track, but it is absolutely been my experience. And, you know, I think sports has taught me how to deal with delayed gratification. So I got to work now for a reward that comes in the future. And I'm okay with that.
Well, you're doing an incredible job, and we're honored, both Rick Macci and I. Please promise me that you'll come back. I can't wait for the day I get to see you in person and give you a big hug. I'm so proud of you. You're going to change the world. Anything I can do to support you, I know Rick and I both feel the same way. Please just reach out and ask. The 4-time Olympic gold medalist, founder of Mommy Nation, and the incredible, my favorite housewife, next to my own wife and my mom, my favorite housewife on TV, that's Sanya Richard Ross. Thank you so much. Come back and see us.
Nice to meet you, Rick. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
That's awesome. She's amazing. Wow. What do you think, my friend?
No, you know, listen, she's won a lot of gold, but here's the bottom line. She has a heart of gold.
Yeah, you can tell.
That to me, that just trumps everything. You know, everything else was pregame warm up. This is her calling. She's on a mission, and she's wired the right way. She's going to inspire so many people and change so many lives. We need more people in the world like Sanya.
Yeah, I was just sad that when she came over at 12, they didn't bring her over to the Rick Macci Tennis Center, because she definitely won the genetic jackpot. She's super smart. And if you've seen her run, I bet you could get a powerful serve. And there's no lack of speed in size and strength in Sanya. She may have even given those girls a run for their money. She's such an unbelievable athlete. But we're blessed by these guests. What's your takeaway for the day?
No, I think, you know, the takeaway is, you know, you got someone who has been to the mountaintop with all the gold medals, you know, the cream of the crop. You can't go any higher, okay? But she's not satisfied, and she has to start over and prove herself all over again. And I think that's a great message for anybody. I mean, David, I still grab a broom and sweep the sidewalk at the park to clean it up and pick up garbage. And every day you got to prove yourself. No one's going to, like she said, give her a gold medal. And I think there's a huge message there. And if you have that mindset and that approach, the best is down the road.
Yeah, my takeaway, I agree, is, you know, don't discount how important a good mom is. You know, they may not listen to the moms, but they watch your mom. And, you know, the idea of, you know, being the best that you can be, doing your best, learning lessons, having fun in life, being a good person, a kind person, knowing that your heart is so important. You learn that from our moms about how to be caring, not just for your own family, but for other people's family. And that came across in Sanya so illustrious in its way. I cannot wait to see what she does for our country and for the world, as she has already in athletics, but now as a media star and as an entrepreneur. The same holds true for my incredible friend, the man who keeps me informed in not only the tennis world, but in the world of perception, Rick Macci. He is empowering me every day. If you haven't seen his content, check it out. It's so, oh my gosh, inspirational and educational. There's years of wisdom, and talk about a heart of gold. I don't know if you have a gold medal, Rick, but you deserve one, because you are just the biggest hearted, nicest, hardest working man I know, and your girls are lucky to have you as well. Rick Macci, everyone, the legend himself, Hall of Fame tennis coach, and number one in my heart, my partner in Game Set Life. Come here every week to learn more as we bring the best out of others to give to all of you. Thanks so much for joining me, Rick.
All right. See you next week, buddy.
You got it. We'll have you. I got to get this guy live sometime. I go visit. He's just so addicted to his own court. It's hard to get him off of it. I know the feeling, though. Anyway, you got to see me. Come to the American Airlines Lounge, probably the most consistent place I am. More importantly, Email me if you need anything. David@dmeltzer.com. I'll sign a book, send it to you. Pay for shipping in the book from the greatest stadium in the world, SoFi Stadium. We are blessed to be more interested than interesting. Remember, like Sanya, like Rick, like myself, be kind. Be kind to your future self and do good deeds. Hit it, Nick.
There are times that I may slip up, won't always get it right. Guarantee I'll be on top when it's game, set, life. Get up and show up, don't ever lose your fight. You watching me from the couch, at least I say I tried. A long time ago, someone said this stuck with me. Passion without action will only remain a dream. Keep positive, motivated people on your team, cause other negativity can kill your self-esteem. Believing is powerful, but sadly so is doubt. So you can choose which way you wanna go, which route. The mind that controls the body can beat anybody, and gotta be all in, don't treat your dreams like a hobby. And if you practice on your day off, won't have an off day. Talent alone won't get you there, still got a long way. Gotta take big risks and big steps to strive. Wanna be the winner when it's game, set, live. Whoa.